being a founder requires you to be delusionally optimistic. So I talk to many founders, and they somehow always come out with a prognosis, a prediction about the development of whatever they were now trying to do, that it's going to fly, it's going to run. And it's almost never like this. Not many of them think of contingencies. But at the same time, if they didn't have this, they wouldn't be in this game at all. Right. So how do you balance that? And especially when you invest in female founders, I believe that there is a different dynamic. What I've seen with female founders is that they're much more receptive to feedback, and at the same time, critical feedback tends to sway them a bit more from the course that they're actually taking.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it, actually. That's interesting. This goes beyond investing.
Okay.
I think it's a human trait.
It is.
You can be polite. No matter what you say to the other person, you can always be mindful and polite. So you can say hard truth, but when you've been with them throughout the course, when they've seen that you care, when you align with their vision, more importantly, when the founder feels that they want to get there and you also want to get there with them, and that you're completely aligned, then I find that they are more likely to accept this sort of hard feedback.
Okay.
I guess in terms of not swaying them from their course, that's also very important. But that's the very essence of founders, I guess, and that's what I like. The founders that really have conviction, that really know a sector. And I will never, I wouldn't try to give them feedback. I'll give feedback on what I know. I'm not going to give them feedback on their sector. For example, in Neurovert, what hospitals are going to do. I don't know what hospitals are going to do. So I would give feedback on how to handle long sales cycles, how to handle team issues, fundraising-wise, what we can expect. So this sort of feedback.
It's very interesting. I mean, the topic of coachability of founders always appears when I talk to investors.
Yeah.
And of course, in a way, they kind of expect it. And at the same time, it's very hard to be the captain of your ship. So in this kind of scenarios. So you have the investors who are obviously, you depend on them for a lot of reasons. Yeah. Their word has certain weight. They also have a great overview over the market. They see different startups, they see different innovations. Their job is to analyze what is the potential of certain technologies. So their opinion can be very, very insightful. If you're a young founder who is doing that for the first time, you might get scared away. And investors expect you to be coachable, but they also expect you to be the captain of your ship. And I would like to hear maybe your tip to founders who are in between the two states. How do you maintain balance in this situation?
First of all, for the investor side, I think it's a trap. I don't think investors can coach founders. Founders coach themselves. So their journey is so...
Can you recommend them coaches?
Of course, actually, yes. I have an excellent coach that I could recommend that I've used myself. But that's, not coaching in that very, strict sense. I do have a coach though, but I don't think you can mentor or whatever. You can advise founders, but at the end, if they graduate to become a different kind of founder, that they do themselves. So it's on them to coach themselves, to get different beats from here and there. Knowing one investor can do that. On the founder side, when they hear feedback, always know the person giving the feedback, it's important to have aligned interests. So you mentioned dependence, you depend on investors. That's something very nice that I'm experiencing now with angel investing. They don't depend on me. I've given them a small check and then we're perfectly aligned. I can't support them even if I wanted to further. So that's it, that's all they can get from me. And then we're in the same ship together. So I just have the exact same alignment of interests as founders have. So we have the exact same goal, and that's it, we're in together. A problem, for example, is when you bring in a very early stage, you bring a very big fund, like one of the top tier names. You have a party in the beginning, and then what happens if that fund doesn't invest in your next round? So yeah, that's, for example, a misalignment of interest. Another issue is with funds that have very spread portfolios. They're trying to diversify, they do very early stage, so it's understandable on the fund side, of course. But then on the founder side, if someone like sprays and prays, so look at the portfolio. If you see someone has 100 investments, 50 investments, how much time do you think they're going to spend on this one? Whereas where you see a more concentrated portfolio, and someone that does a specific stage, it's more likely that these people are going to hold your hand and you're going to have the same interests and you're going to be aligned when you hear advice. So always know where the advice is coming from and whether that person has actually spent time with you, understanding your vision, understanding your company, understanding your technology, knowing the sector. And then, you can weigh, let's say, advice based on that.
And if you're just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive Podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.